Tasty, versatile, generally good for you, and certainly cheap. It's no wonder we Brits love chicken, and it comes in so many forms. In a burger, with some pasta, maybe a salad, some fajitas, or you could even try a cheeky chicken nugget at home. Chicken now outsells pork, lamb and beef combined. Now then, where am I going to start?
That popularity means we need a lot of what are called broiler chickens, birds that are reared just for meat. It's expected that in 2017, the number we consume will have topped 1 billion for the first time. That's 2.7 million every day.
So, while many in farming struggle with unpredictable prices, changing demands or bad weather, chicken meat production is really booming. But it's not without some challenges.
Headline news has reflected concerns about hygiene standards in the industry, along with questions about the American practice of chlorinated chicken. And then there are the ever-present concerns about animal welfare. How did we get to this point when, 50 years ago, chicken was a rare treat? Today, an oven-ready bird can cost less than a pint of beer, and there are more chickens than people in the UK.
Well, to satisfy that demand, we need places like this.
A shed which is home to 28,000 birds. Farmer Claire Bragg says breeding birds indoors makes for ideal living conditions, and this makes it a more reliable income than other livestock.
So, Claire, what is it you like about this kind of farming?
It's a wonderful way of actually rearing chicken. We're not weather dependent. We can keep the temperature right, the humidity right. We can give them exactly what they want in controlled conditions.
And have we seen many farmers flocking, if you pardon the pun, to this kind of farming?
Bad pun, but yes, we have. What we're tending to find is that the existing farmers are actually perhaps getting a little bit bigger rather than new entrants coming in.
At 22 days old, they've yet to grow their adult feathers. They're halfway through their life here. But they're already phenomenal meat machines, gaining 70 grams in weight a day, the equivalent of a chicken burger.
When I first walked in, I thought, wow, that's pretty full. You know, I can't see much of the ground.
Yes.
It's not quite carpeted, but nearly. But these chickens are going to grow, so it's going to get more densely packed in here, isn't it?
Yes, it will do. But there's always room for them to move, always. So when we walk through the houses, when we check them, because we come in 4 times a day to check that everything is running correctly for them, there is always room for them to move. You look around the house today, does they look like they're suffering? There's a lovely noise going on here. They're happy, they can get to food, they can get to water. They're getting everything that they need here.
It's not just the birds that are growing fast. Chicken processing has become big business and now directly employs 37,000 people in the UK. Cargill's in Herefordshire runs 18 hours a day, slaughtering and processing both free-range and intensive chickens. And we're about to show you inside in detail. Agricultural Director John Reid says animal welfare is important from the moment the live birds arrive.
The area is quite dark to keep those birds calm. We want to get the birds into the factory as quick as we can so they spend as little time on the lorries. Once they're on the line, we take them through what we call our controlled atmosphere stunner, where the birds go into a chamber and the oxygen is slowly reduced, which allows the birds to gently go to sleep from which they don't recover.
After the birds' carcasses have been plucked and gutted, they're washed and steam cleaned. Then they're sent here. A series of refrigerators that are truly mind-boggling. The scale is enormous. A staggering 23,000 birds go in and out of this place every hour. That's most of the chickens I saw earlier in Claire's shed in just 60 minutes.
The birds come from the chiller as whole birds. We cut them up into the front and the back half of the chicken. The front half comes down a deboning line and we take the fillet and the inner fillet off the breast. The breast fillets come down further down this line to a point where they are weighed and they go into our robotic packers.
But can they keep up standards when operating on this scale?
I think we should make it very clear that large scale is actually the same process as small scale. The principles about how we grow our birds and how we process them are actually the same. And that does mean that we need to make sure we've got every focus. And we have focus around our bird welfare, about food safety to ensure our customers are okay, and actually the health and safety of all our people who work in the factory as well. I'm extremely proud that in my lifetime we have seen chicken go from being that occasional meal to today every other meat meal is chicken. What we're able to do is produce safe, nutritious, affordable and available to all consumers.
So should we look at the rise of the broiler chicken as a great British success story?
It may not come as a great surprise that chicken production on this scale does have some critics, and I'll be hearing from some of them later.
This year, for the first time, we'll consume 1 billion chickens in the UK. But is this cheap meat a farming success story or a cause for concern? Here's Tom.
Here in the Herefordshire countryside, a flock of chickens head out for the morning on Rodmy's farm.
It's lovely to see them, but they look a bit unconvinced on this chilly morning.
They do indeed.
And quite literally, they are having their feathers ruffled by this wind.
Yeah.
This is how many of us might imagine our chicken meat is grown. Organic and free-range birds spending much of their day outdoors. It's the other end of the spectrum from the large barns we saw earlier.
So tell me, what do you like about this kind of farming?
Because it's much closer to nature. Birds come out, they run around in the nettles, they run around in the grass, they like the shade in the apple trees, they use their legs, they use their breasts, they use their muscles, and that is where the taste comes from.
And presumably they're eating a slightly greater variety of things as well.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Insects,
Yes.
grubs.
Worms,
Yeah.
grass, nettles. We've got nettles growing here that we'd normally probably have taken out, but they like it. They like to go rummaging about in there. And this is what they do naturally.
These birds take 70 days to reach full weight, nearly twice as long as intensively reared poultry.
But chickens that live like this really are the exception. Fewer than 5% of our broiler chickens are either free-range or organic.
And there's a big difference in the price. A 2-kilo broiler raised like this could cost anything from £7 to £17, whereas an intensively reared chicken can be as little as £2.25.
And that's a big difference if you're thinking about your Sunday lunch. On you go.
Our love of cheap and nutritious chicken has made poultry farming big business. But for some, it's not just about pounds and pence. There's another price to be paid. Phil Brook is from Compassion in World Farming.
How does this compare, in your view, to the way most of our chicken meat is produced?
Well, in the standard sheds, we have a problem of barren environments, not enough to do. We have the problem of not enough space, they get really crowded. And even if they did have that space, they probably wouldn't be able to use it because we bred them to grow faster than is good for their health. The animals don't have such a good life. You get a proportion of them that have levels of lameness. You get problems with ammonia burns. This is caused by animals lying in their own droppings.
But do you think it's plausible to feed the nation, or indeed the world, on the chicken meat that it demands from systems like this?
Well, the answer is we could produce a lot of chicken from systems like this. We would want to waste less. We would probably want to eat less meat, but better meat, as part of a process which keeps animals properly. But that would be better for our health. That would be going in the direction that the health people are saying we should do.
And what about the price? Because chicken from somewhere like this is much, much more expensive than from a broiler shed. So isn't what you're demanding going to put up the price of chicken?
Cheap chicken comes at all sorts of other prices. You end up having to use more antibiotics. Cheap chicken for the consumer means rural poverty because you're putting less money into the rural community.
But the industry is worth over £4 billion to the UK's economy each year. And while outdoor farms tend to use fewer antibiotics than indoor ones, the mortality rate outside can be higher. Intensive farmers say they've tackled many of the welfare criticisms, and today the UK has some of the highest standards in the world. Farmer Claire Bragg, who I met earlier, says even when the flock numbers tens of thousands, welfare is a top priority.
This looks to me like the sort of definition of intensive production, which keeps the cost of food down. Are you happy with that trade-off?
Me personally, yes, because I believe that the welfare of these birds are not compromised. I actually think that they are...
Not at all? They wouldn't be happier with more space or more fresh air or access to daylight?
Well, they have daylight coming in anyway. We've got to be careful that we don't humanise animals. We can't ask them the question. We don't know the answer. So what we can do is provide them for the temperatures, the conditions that we believe is correct for them.
She says controlling their living space has greatly helped reduce footburn from ammonia and lameness across the industry. And she's proud of her part in it.
We're very lucky in this country that as a consumer, you have the choice. And I believe, first of all, buy British. And then secondly, have an informed knowledge of what you're buying. And if you are happy with this, then this is what you buy.
How to feed the world is a huge debate, and this type of farming is one answer. Cheap chicken is a volume business, requiring greater compromises to the bird's natural behaviour than you'd find in a place like this. But affordable protein is a key part of our national diet. In the end, you pays your money and takes your choice.